on the water, an adventure around this great brown land and beyond. We're going to have a look at vessels and watercraft, from manpower to wind power, and we'll even crank it up with horsepower. So strap on your life jacket and get set to get wet on the water. Welcome back from the break as we check to the heads of two of Australia's biggest sporting organisations and check out their hopes and their dreams. Andrew Plimpton, Yachting Australia President, how long have you been in charge for, mate?
Caveman, 3 years, coming up in August, from the great body Yachting Australia.
What type of changes have you implemented during your time at the helm?
Well, I think when you take on a role as a president of a sporting organisation as large as Yachting Australia and diverse, what you do is you identify what you can make a difference in doing. And the one area I've concentrated on is our high performance sailing, and that has been, I guess, the biggest effort we've put into with spectacularly good results. What we do is talent identification at a very early age, is give young people a pathway to elite sailing and to high performance sailing, and we do it well.
What type of strategies does Yachting Australia have in place to get more people into yachting?
Well, it's difficult for us, as I said, as a national body, but clearly we're there to help local yachting associations and yacht clubs. We do work with classes like the Optimists to try and bring more people into sailing. It's a task for our budget and for our spread is very difficult to do. We very much encourage and rely on yacht clubs to do that.
Well, I guess one of the hard things is obviously that yachting is seen as an elitist sport, and yet it costs you $100 to go down to the local shop and buy yourself a skateboard, and obviously it's a lot cheaper. And so I think for mine, the elitist theory that people have of yachting is certainly dimming the potential membership of younger members.
Yeah, I don't know, it's something we have to live with, this elitist sport. If I look out in here, you know what, the average cost of the boat would be no more than a caravan in the local caravan park. And yet I don't see new owners of JK caravans being called elitist, and yet the people that sit out here with their $20,000, $30,000 boats have been elitist. Very difficult to understand sometimes. You know what's important about this sport? It's about participation. You know what the problem is? I've just returned from the AOC, the Australian Olympic Committee Annual General Meeting. I'm hopeful, like so many other Australians are, that we will see by 2010 the Youth Olympics in Australia. Why are we going to look at the Youth Olympics? Because I think the world is now saying to the youth of the world, forget sitting behind computers, forget complaining, forget about non-participation, and hopefully that the aspiration of Youth Olympics to 14 to 18-year-olds is going to be something that encourages people to get out and do what I did as a young kid, and that is go and compete in sport, whether it be sailing or football. Elite, this is not elite sport. This is one of the cheapest sports in the world to participate in. I can cross-reference the costs of signing up for your local netball club, your volleyball club, your football club, whether it be amateurs or whatever, and say to you that you can get on the water at clubs like this Sandringham Yacht Club a whole lot cheaper than you can and registering and participating in other sports.
On the water covers many facets of boating and plenty of different kinds of activities. What would you most like to see on the show?
Well, I like to see a smart boy like you take a 49er out in about 30 knots of breeze and try your luck from here to get it up to Port Melbourne, and the television crew covering you. Big sou'wester, 30 knots.
Grant Cosgriff, CEO of Rowing Victoria. How long have you been the CEO?
3.5 years, Tim.
What type of initiatives are in the pipeline at Rowing Victoria?
Look, it's funny leaving now because I've had to start making big lists of what's going on and what's happening into the future. But our biggest one at the moment is that we're about to employ a state development coordinator to look at developing rowing talent across regional Victoria and primarily in schools that currently don't row. Rowing certainly is a sport that probably up until now has been limited by where you went to school. If you went to a private school, you probably had the opportunity to row. You may not have, but you at least had the opportunity. Whereas to the general public and potentially to someone going to a high school, the opportunity is not there. So our State Development Coordinator is going to be employed, and their big role over the next couple of years is to do that and to have a targeted identification process for the talented kids to show them the pathway through to potentially the Olympics.
Using a footy term, what are you going to be doing for grassroots rowing?
Well, that's our next big initiative for the next couple of years is to focus on that. We've been supported by the State Government of Victoria under their funding grassroots sport, which came out of the post-Commonwealth Games funds. And that's the employment of a State Development Coordinator, a very detailed program of making rowing available to the wider community, particularly targeting the youth age group at this stage. But that'll roll out over the next 2 years with aims to have greater representation at underage level at the National Rowing Championships, and then ultimately have greater representation at national selection trials, and therefore more youth-aged rowers selected on Australian rowing teams, and that's part of the pathway towards senior representation and the Olympics.
Some misconceptions about rowing. Is it an upper echelon type of sport? How are you going to bring that back to the general public?
Anyone can walk into a rowing club and sign up and learn to row. Part of Learn to Row and part of our programs is also to increase the understanding of what rowing's about to the wider community, and it is about precision teamwork, and it is about working together. And one of the things about rowing is that as soon as one link in the chain breaks down, the whole crew and the whole teamwork aspect really falls apart. So people learn a lot about themselves and their ability to be part of a team through rowing.
Well, we have seen a very high-profile public case of, when one link falls over, but certainly the comradeship and the teamwork is absolutely imperative.
Yeah, look, and there are guys who have rowed together for 50, 60 years that still row together now, and it's like people in all sports can get those friendships developed from working very closely together over a period of time to achieve some sort of success.
What would you most like to see on the show, and for entertainment value, what would you most like to see me have a go at?
More rowing, definitely, because you had 2 goes at rowing so far. The one on the water was an absolute shambles, and the one off the water, you're nearly the first person ever to fall off an ergo. So, look, Tim, from our perspective, I think you need to come back and row more often. Our slogan as a sport is row for your life. You can row until you're 89, like one of our masters was last weekend at the Masters State Championships, and you can row for your life in terms of your fitness. So you always talk about the fact that maybe you need to improve your fitness. So perhaps Scotty Riddell at ErgFit, or maybe seeing you at one of these Learn to Row programs in the Melbourne Head in the next little while. I think that's what I'd like to see on the show.
So I'd like to thank you, the viewer, because without you, on the water just doesn't happen. So whether you're sailing over the horizon or even over your local pond, a bad day on the water is better than a good day at work. See you next time.